Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, madam.
See what we were studied in the last lecture. We have studied that the work done is nothing but mg into bracket a minus b. That is, work done depends on the initial and final position, not the path followed. Correct? So this we have seen, and we have seen the some definitions. Okay. Now let us go for the example of the frictional force. Okay. Now, I hope you understood the word frictional. Yes, what do you mean by frictional force or friction? In the last lecture, we have seen the two definitions, conservative force. What do you mean by conservative force? The work done by the force along a closed path is zero, then the force is said to be conservative force, right? If work done is zero along a closed path, then we say that it is a conservative force. Or in a reverse way, we can say that when particle travels along a closed path in a conservative field of force, then work done is zero. Okay, so these definition we have seen. Now we'll see one example which is not a conservative force. We'll see the example of a not a conservative force. We'll see the example of a not a conservative force. Now, for that example, I am considering the frictional force. Okay. So if the body is moved against a constant frictional force, what I told you, if a body is moved against the constant frictional force, right? Let me write down the statement. You have to tell me what do you mean by these statements and what you understood from this frictional force. Okay. If the body is moved against constant frictional force, if body is moving against the constant frictional force through a distance in a horizontal plane, through some distance in a horizontal plane, or we can say in a horizontal direction, then the work done by the frictional force is given by, then the work done by the frictional force is given by, the work done by the frictional force is given by minus F into S. Okay, right. So, what do you understood from this statement, and what do you mean by frictional force? Yes, anyone can explain. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Let us see what we are seeing, the frictional force. Okay, what do you mean by frictional force? Again, we'll take the same example. Suppose um, we are traveling on a bike, and suppose the road is very rough. that is nothing but your frictional force. The word meaning of the word friction means what? What we say in the Marathi, can anyone tell me the meaning of word friction? Am I audible to everyone?
Gharshan.
That I exactly don't know the word. So that is nothing but a amount of a force. क्योंकि जहाँ आपके यहाँ पे friction ज़्यादा होगा वहाँ पे आपको ज़्यादा force apply करना पड़ेगा, right? Suppose uh, some construction of road is going on, and if you are going in the same direction, so you need more amount of a force, right? So as you can say, if the body is moved, again a constant frictional force through a distance in a horizontal plane. In the very easy example for this, we can take a example of a bike or any vehicle if you're moving. So we need some more amount of force. That work done by that frictional force can be given as minus Fs. Okay. Now, why the negative sign is introduced here? Because of the we are applying the force in the opposite direction, right? Friction आपके motion को resist कर रहा है, right? It is just like a opposition, right? So we are having the opposite force applied. जहाँ पे हम move कर रहे हैं उसी direction में एक opposite force apply हो रहा है, right? Because of that fact, we are getting a negative sign. And what is F? F is a force applied into the displacement. It is nothing but your work done. Okay? Have you understood this one? Okay. So let me go for next one. That is, what will be the amount of force we will apply, right? As this is what the amount of force applied by the frictional. And suppose if the body is brought back to the original position, if suppose the body is brought back to the original position, along the same path, right? If the body is brought back to the original position along the same path, then the amount of work done is given by, then again the amount of work done is given by minus Fs. क्योंकि हम भी उसी डायरेक्शन में अपोजिट फोर्स अप्लाई कर रहे हैं ना, राइट? द फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स, you can imagine again the same example. We are applying the force in the opposite direction of a frictional force, and frictional force is applying the force in opposite direction of ourselves, right? Let me show you how it works. Suppose this is what a straight road. Um, this is what a straight road, and suppose here is a very rough road, and if you are traveling on a bike, so from this side the force applied will be in the opposite direction of yourself. आप जिस direction में जा रहे हो उससे opposite direction में force apply हो रहा है, right? And you are also moving in the same direction, and you are applying also the same amount of force so that you can move in a same direction, right? So from here also minus Fs force is applied, here also minus Fs force is applied. Yes, are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in this way, thus the total amount of a work done for a body to move in a same direction. So we can say the total amount of work done is minus Fs plus again minus Fs. So we get the answer as a minus 2 times Fs, which is not equal to 0, right? What we say, we are doing the same thing now, just like in the our work done along a conservative field of force means what? If a particle is moving along this position and it is again come back to the same point, so we say that the work done is 0. Why? The initial and final positions are same. Here also we are doing the same thing, right? From here we are applying the same amount of force, here also we are applying the same amount of force, and body is moving in this direction. So the total amount of a work done can be given as minus Fs plus minus Fs. The force applied by ourselves and the force applied by that frictional force, it is minus 2 Fs, and which is not equal to 0. So hence we can say that the work done is not equal to 0. And in this case, we can say that the frictional force is not a conservative force. Okay, we can say that the frictional force is not conservative force. Okay, getting me? Any doubt about this one, frictional force? Yes, everyone understood what I teach you? Is there any problem for my teaching? Okay, let me go for the next point. We have the statement of one theorem which will be useful for us for proving the next theorem. The necessary and sufficient condition for the force to be conservative is that the statement is there for us. The proof is not for our syllabus. The necessary and sufficient condition for a force will be conservative is that the necessary and sufficient condition for the force to be conservative is that F is equals to minus del V, which is equals to minus grad V, which is equal to minus dou V by dou R. Correct? So the necessary and sufficient condition for the force will be conservative is that F is equals to minus del V minus grad V is equal to minus dou V by dou R. Those who are interested to see the statement of this theorem, you can see in the book, our recommended book, Classical Mechanics. Okay. Now, before going to anything else, I just want to ask you, what do you mean by necessary and sufficient condition? Yes, anyone can explain me what do you mean by necessary and sufficient condition? How many times with this type of a theorem we have seen? आहेत ना सगळे? आवाज येते माझा?
हो येतो मॅडम.
Okay. So now there is no problem for my voice, right? So can anyone tell me what is a necessary and what is a sufficient condition? In the BSc, whether you have solved this type of a theorem? I have all our BSc passed now. That's why you have taken the admission here. If all have given the exam of BSc, whether you have gone through these type of a theorem, necessary, sufficient. असं ऐकलात का कुठे?
Yes, madam.
Where and what do you mean by that made necessary and sufficient? Hmm. सांगा.
नेसेसरी म्हणजे कंपल्सरी मॅडम.
Necessary म्हणजे compulsory. Sufficient means
पुरेसे.
okay. That is what word meaning, no? But what is the use in mathematics? Suppose I given you a very popular example of this one. We say that Cauchy-Riemann equations are necessary or sufficient for the function to be analytic.
Necessary, madam.
Okay, they are necessary. Why they are not a sufficient? Yes, everyone can, whether you understood the meaning of a necessary and sufficient. Rather, many times in the BSc we have proved the result, necessary part, sufficient part. Like this we have proved the theorem, no? So if you're not going to speak, I will not understand whether you know some of the concept, because we assume that some of the concepts are known for you people, right? Now here I was assuming that necessary and sufficient, the meaning of both word in mathematics you are getting, right? Uh, I don't know exactly how many of you are knowing the real life example of a necessary and sufficient. Can you give me any real life example of a necessary and sufficient condition? See, is it so difficult if you are saying that no, we don't know, or it is very difficult for us to tell this? We can go for the further syllabus. Okay. Yes, is there any problem from my side? I want to ask you that one because you are completely silent. Within 2 or 3 students are going to speak in every lecture, all others are completely silent. We don't have anything to have a discussion in the classroom and all. I hope you are knowing that from 20 October we are going to start a physical lectures. At that time it will be very difficult for you people. Yes, at least say we are not going to speak anything. So we can continue with this. If you don't want any type of discussion type of a class in the classroom, it is also okay. For me also it is good that I can complete the syllabus very early.
Ma'am, I don't know why it is not sufficient.
Anyone else? Whether you are knowing the meaning of those words, whatever we have studied in our BSc, we have proved the theorem with necessary part and sufficient part. Kelet Nasa?
Oh, ma'am.
Kelet. बरोबर ना? Maybe in the algebra, linear algebra, real analysis, we have proved this type of a theorem. Right? No?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So that's why I'm asking whether you know the meaning of those necessary and sufficient. Okay, let me give you a very easy example. which is applicable to you also. You all come from that entrance exam you have given, and then through the merit you have the merit and reservation rules. With the help of that, you got the admission in the university. Okay. So for that one, I want to ask you that to get an admission to our where, rather in the university or in the Danan college, as you are having the two options, no, either university or Danan, right? So to get an admission to mathematics department, what is the necessary condition you feel?
To give the entrance.
To give the entrance is a necessary condition. If suppose you haven't given the entrance, so that is what a necessary condition, right? But what will be the sufficient condition? Suppose you want to get an admission in Solapur University. Yes, what will be the sufficient condition? सगळ्यांचं ऍडमिशन झालंय ना, सगळे राऊंडला होते ना प्रेझेंट?
हो मॅम.
मग काय सफिशियंट कंडिशन काय असेल? नेसेसरी तुम्ही सांगितलं की एंट्रन्स इज अ कंपल्सरी फॉर एव्हरीवन, बिकॉज इफ यू हॅवंट गिवन द एंट्रन्स यू कॅनॉट गेट द ऍडमिशन.
जास्त मार्क भेटले मॅडम तरी
Means you should be in the merit, no?
Yes.
We are having the 3 rounds, no? First round, second round. So we are doing all the admission with the help of a merit and reservation rules. Right? Now just keep reservation outside, so we can consider all the students come according to the merit rule, right? So in this condition, we have the necessary condition is what? You should give the entrance exam, but it is not guaranteed that if you give the entrance exam you will get an admission. Whether it is guaranteed?
No.
No, ma'am.
Because you have seen now many of the student haven't got the admission, or if they अगर वो यहाँ पे admission round के लिए आएंगे ही नहीं तो no doubt they will not be admitted. Whether you have given the entrance exam or not, that is another part, right? So what is one condition? You should give an entrance exam and you should be in the merit, then only you will get the admission in the university or in the ANM, right? So it is not compulsory that if you have given the entrance, you will get an admission. Yes, is the idea clear about the necessary and sufficient?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I will give you one more. I will give you one more real life example. सभी को संसद पता है, राज्यसभा and
Yes, ma'am.
right? So in that also, the presentity of all those MPs is compulsory, right? But they are having some lacunas also. That means एक अपना जैसे 75% present ही होता है, वैसे उनके यहाँ पे भी होता है, right? So that is also one example. If some rule is there, अगर कोई budget होगा या फिर कोई एक we can say one rule which we are going to impose, अगर कोई rule अगर हमें बनाना है तो at that time you might have heard that for that we are having the votings, right? No?
Yes, ma'am.
सभी MPs एक voting करते हैं. That is also one real life example. I have given you simply a hint. You have to find out which is a necessary and which is sufficient condition in that case. Okay? Can you do that if you understood this example? Because this example is very related to you people to get an admission to university. बराबर ना?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you do that? Try to do that example, the real life example. I hope you heard about the necessary sufficient condition for the case of a CR equation, Cauchy-Riemann equation. बरोबर ना? Whether CR equations are necessary or sufficient, they are necessary, no?
Yes.
So I hope you have gone through that SetNet workshop. Whether you attended that SetNet workshop. Run by the university.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in that
Yes, ma'am.
lecture, Rahul Mapari sir lecture, whether you have attended for the complex analysis.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So at that time, sir has told you what the CR equations are there, why they are necessary, why they are not sufficient, or vice versa. Okay. So you should think in that way that why these are necessary condition, why these are sufficient condition, right? So in this theorem, what is given? The necessary sufficient condition for the force to be conservative, that F is equals to minus del V. Now here also I want to ask you, how many of you know the meaning of this del gradient? We have a curl, gradient, this type of word we have studied, right? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, can anyone tell me the formula for the curl, gradient, and del is a notation we are using? Yes. What do you mean by that gradient? I want the geometric interpretation of all this in the next lecture. This will be the homework for you people. You have to tell me what is the meaning of curl, gradient, okay, and their geometric interpretation also. Can you do this?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
From where you have to search, I have told you already that you can search in the basic. For basic, if you want to clear your basic, you can go for the Khan Academy or you can go for NPTEL lectures, right? So these are what the trusted source, right? Whenever you want to search anything on the YouTube or anything on the suppose if you want to search on a Google, so you need some authentication, right? So these are good one, okay? So I hope you will do that homework, right? So this is what a necessary and sufficient condition. Only the statement is for us. Now let me go for the next theorem. Yeah, I will write down the statement. The forces acting on the particle if the forces acting on the particle are conservative, if the forces acting on the particle are conservative, that means constant. If the forces acting on the particle are conservative, then show that the total energy of the particle is conserved. Then show that the total energy ensure that the total energy of the particle is conserved. Ensure that the total energy of the particle is conserved. What is our aim to prove here? Given that forces are conservative, okay. Next, we have to show that the total energy of the particle is conserved, okay. So for that, we are going to use this statement. Whatever we have seen just now, the necessary sufficient condition for the force to be conservative is that F is equals to minus grad V minus dou V by dou R, right? I will give you a hint for that one if you want to find out those answers. I think it's dou by dou x plus dou by dou y plus dou by dou z or I, J, K. आठवते का आता?
Oh, ma'am.
हो ma'am.
But actually, you have to find out what is a geometric interpretation for this one. What do you mean by gradient, right? Try to find out, and we will discuss in the next lecture, right? So here, show that the total energy of the particle is conserved, right? So let me start with the things what is given to us, okay? In the proof, we have been provided actually that. F be the total force. Now let us assume F be the total force. Let F be the total force acting on the particles. F be the total force acting on the particle. As given that F is conservative, okay, given that F is conservative, that is force is constant. Then we know that the necessary sufficient condition for the force is conservative. You have to write down the statement of the theorem is that F is equals to minus dou V by dou R, right? We have just written whatever given to us with the help of a given thing. F is conservative. We have written with the help of a statement F is equal to minus dou V by dou R. What is R in this case? R is nothing but your position vector. We have seen this definition in our first lecture. Okay, if it is in 3D, it is xi plus yj plus zk. Okay, so now we have the condition F is equal to minus dou V by dou R, or we can have it is minus del V. Let us name it as equation 1, right? Now we know that what is V? V is nothing but your potential energy, right? If work done by the force in displacing the particle from position P1 to P2 whose position vector R1 and R2, then work done is given by, right? We have seen this, how the work done is found. If a particle is displaced from position P1 to P2, then R1 and R2 are the position vector, then work done is given by work done is equal to integration F dr, or actually dW is equals to F into dr after finding the integration. That means a particle is displaced from position P1 to P2, then position vectors are R1 and position vector for P2 is a R2. Okay? Yes, anyone having a doubt up to this one?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now just use this equation 1. You can say using equation 1, we get integration R1 to R2. You can say using equation 1, by using what we get F is equals to minus del V and dr will be as it is. Okay, by using our equation 1, we get the result. Now we know R is equals to xi plus yj plus zk, right? So what is dr? Dr is nothing but, you can have this as x dash I plus y dash j plus z dash k, right? We have written this in while writing the definition of a velocity. What is your velocity? Is nothing but rate of change of a position vector. Okay. Okay, now let me write down what is del V. Del V is nothing but your I dou by dou x plus j dou by dou y plus k times dou by dou z into V. Okay, we are going to differentiate this. The value of del is nothing but this one, I dou by dou x plus j dou by dou y plus k dou by dou z. Okay, so we can write del V is equals to I times dou v by dou x plus j times dou v by dou y plus k dou v by dou z. Now let me evaluate whole. That is, we will evaluate del v into dr. Del v dr is equals to, this is what, I dou v by dou x plus j dou v by dou y plus k dou v by dou z. Right, into dr. Dr means what? X dash I plus y dash k, sorry, y dash j plus z dash k. Okay. So now if you are going to evaluate this product, it is evaluated with the help of dot product. So what is I dot I?
1.
1. All others are 0. Na? I dot j will be 0. I dot k will also be 0. So what we remains with dou v by dou x dx as it is. This x dash I can write it as dx also. Correct? No? dr is nothing but I can write in the another way as dxi plus dyj plus dzk. Okay. Now, what will be the next term? If you are going to take a dot product, first term will be this one, second term 0, third term is also 0 because I, j, k are the unit vector along the x, y, z. So, we know that what is the angle between x, y, z axis? This is 90 degree. So, cos 90 is 0. So, we are just evaluating the dot product, right? I dot j will be mod I mod j into cos 90. So cos 90 is 0, so hence we get the result. Plus next term we have to evaluate j into I will be again 0, j dot j will be 1. So it is dou v by dou y into dy plus next term dou v by dou z into dz. Yes, everyone get this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we have evaluated this term, that is del v dr. Can I write this as dv, this whole term? Okay, if you are confusing, let me write down. You have gone through those total derivatives, df. How you write df? Dou f by dou x dx plus dou f by dou y dy plus dou f by dou z dz. बरोबर माहिती आहे सगळ्यांना टोटल डेरिव्हेटिव्ह?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in the very similar way, here also we are getting the same things. Dou v by dou x, dou v by dou y, dou v by dou z. Instead of f, we are having v. So that's why instead of df, I have written dv. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me name this as some equation number, say 2. Now we are going to use these values in this equation. Okay. In this equation, we are going to use this value. So let me write down the formula for the work done. We will evaluate the whole value. Work done is equals to minus outside R1 to R2. Correct? We have got the value of del V dr is nothing but simply dV. Okay. So total work done is equals to minus. Now dV, derivative of dV is simply V within R1 to R2. Now whether you are going to put the limits R2 minus R1. Yes, again in the somewhere in this lecture we have got this type of a consideration, no? At that time you told this is R2 square like this. T2 minus T1 we have formed. Work done is equal to T2 minus T1. बरोबर ना? At that time also we are having this condition 1 upon 2 mv, right? यहाँ पे R2 square minus R1 square. आठवत आहे का सगळ्यांना?
Yes, ma'am.
So here what should I write? Whether I should write R2 minus R1. सगळ्यांना येतं इंटिग्रेशन, डिफायनाइट इंटिग्रेशन? Integration x dx, suppose within the limit 1 to 2, it is x square by 2, right? Within the limit 1 to 2. So what we are going to write down 2 square, that is 4 minus 1 divided by 2. But here it is it is nothing but your potential energy, and these are the position vector. So I will write this as a minus sign as it is position vector R2 and this is position vector R1. So I can write this is a potential energy at a position 2 and this is a potential energy at position 1. So the total work done I can write work done is equals to V1 minus V2. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
any doubt about this one? How you have written this integration limits? क्योंकि हमने अब तक जो इंटीग्रेशन लिमिट था वो एज इट इज पुटअप करते थे। यहाँ पे क्या है, यहाँ पे पोटेंशियल एनर्जी है और R1 एंड R2 क्या है, ये पोजिशन वेक्टर्स है, राइट। सो वी कैन से दीज आर नथिंग बट द पोटेंशियल एनर्जी एट पोजिशन P2 and potential energy at position P1, right? But we have found this one also, work done is equals to T2 minus T1. आठवते सगळ्यांना हे proof?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the help of these two, as RHS is same, I can equate them. V1 minus V2 is equals to T2 minus T1. So V1 plus T1 is equals to T2 plus V2. Correct. Now, what is this V1? This is potential energy at P1 plus what is T? This is kinetic energy at P1 is equal to, now I can write this is what, okay, let me write down this as V2 plus T2. So this is what a potential energy at P2 plus kinetic energy at a position P2. So what is the addition of potential energy plus kinetic energy? This is nothing but your total energy at P1 is equals to total energy at P2. This we have done for the position P1 and P2. And if you are going to displace to some another place, again you will get the total energy at suppose P3. So I can write this as T1 plus V1 is equals to T2 plus V2 is equal to T3 plus V3 and so on. Barabar? So here we have proved the result. What is our aim to prove? If the forces are conservative, our aim was to prove that the total energy of the particle is conserved. So here also we have proved the same thing. Correct, no? Total energy
Yes, ma'am.
is always constant. That means now we can say total energy at position P1 is equal to total energy at position P2, which means that the total energy T plus V is a constant. बरोबर?
Yes, ma'am.
आप कितने भी पोजीशन
Yes,
चेंज
ma'am.
करोगे तो टोटल एनर्जी ऑलवेज कांस्टेंट ही होगा, बिकॉज वी नो द रूल. व्हाट इज द रूल about the energy cannot be destroyed, nor it can be displayed, and it can be converted into one form to another form. So here also we have done the same thing. So total energy at position P1, P2, P3 all are same, so hence we can say that the total energy T plus V is always a constant. But in which case? Only in the case of forces are conservative. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, let us go for the next point, mechanics of the particle. Yes, if you are having any doubt, you can ask me.
No, ma'am.
Okay, let me go for the mechanics of the system of particle. Okay, so consider we are having n particles. Suppose any system we have provided. Suppose we have n particles, right? Say with the masses m1, m2, m3, and so on. Suppose with the masses m1, m2, m3, and so on, mn, and with the position vector say r1, r2, and so on up to rn, right? So here we are going to find out the linear momentum and the equation of motion for that. If you remember, we have proved the result for the linear momentum and equation of a motion. आठवते का सगळ्यांना linear momentum, conservation of a linear momentum we have proved.
हाँ मैम.
F is equal to p bar dot, and then we have proved that if force is 0, we say that linear momentum is constant. Why it is constant? Because this is nothing but dp by dt. If force is 0, this is also 0, then we get after integration of this term we get the linear momentum is constant. But this we have proved only for the single particle. Now we have to prove this for the many particle. That means instead of having a single particle, we have a many different particle. That means suppose particles with masses m1, m2, m3 up to mn. So we have n number of particle, and we have to prove the same result for the n number of a particle. Okay. So let us have n number of particle, and we have to prove the results of linear momentum and the equation of a motion in case of these n particles. Okay, so here if you consider this system, so in this system I can have the two types of forces. What are the two types of forces? External and internal forces, right? Suppose we have these two particles, there might be some internal force in between these two particles and some extra force which is from outside. That means the force which we are going to apply, the conservative force, right? The constant amount of force we are going to apply, and some amount of force will be there in between them, internal forces. Okay, let me give you a very easy example. Suppose assume that we are going to come to the university for the physical lecture, and if you are sitting in the classroom, so there might be some internal forces in between yourself. That means your friendship itself. Barabar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that is nothing but the internal force I am going to assume. And what is an external force? That the teaching done by all the faculties, that is your external forces, right? So some amount of internal force and some amount of external force are going to exist, right? So here the forces are divided into the two parts, that is external force and the internal force. Okay. So now we are not going to have only one force. Now we have to consider the two forces, right? In case of n particles. Now let us find out the total force, right? To find out the total force acting on the particle, because we know that there are two forces, that is we have external force as well as we have a internal force. Okay. Now to find out the total force acting on the particle, can be considered as Fi. That means instead of all particles we are considering, let us assume the ith particle. First we will find out the total force acting on ith particle, then we will generalize the concept. Okay? Is it okay? First we will find out the total force acting on the first ith particle, then we will generalize the concept. So let us assume Fi be the total force acting on the particle. Now, external force acting on the ith particle, I can say there will be external force. Fi denotes the external force acting on ith particle. So let me write down total force with the F, and Fi be the external force acting on ith particle. Okay, and let us consider Fji be the internal force. Let Fji be the internal force acting on ith particle due to the presence of jth particle. Okay, the total force is divided into the two parts, that is external force as well as internal force Fji. Why Fji is written? Due to the force acting on ith particle due to the presence of jth particle. Just like assume that we are having suppose we put some of the magnet. Okay, magnet अगर होंगे तो दोनों magnet के बीच में कुछ amount of force होगा, correct? So that we can consider as internal force acting on ith particle due to the presence of jth particle, right? Just like in the classroom, mostly we sit in the position that we sit in a single bench with our friends, right? फ्रेंड्स के साथ ही बैठते हैं ना, नो डाउट ऑल आर योर क्लासमेट, बट यू सिलेक्ट सम ऑफ द फ्रेंड with them only you are sitting in the classroom. So that is nothing but the internal force acting on ith particle due to the presence of jth particle. That means you and your friend are ith and jth particle. Okay. Now, thus the total internal force acting on ith particle due to the presence of remaining n minus 1. क्योंकि यहाँ पे मैंने J लिखा है वो सिर्फ एक पार्टिकल पे था, राइट? इस I पार्टिकल पे different amount of force will be acting from every particle because we have some relation with all the classmates now. So the force acting on this ith particle due to presence of different all the n particles, not we can say n particle n minus 1 क्योंकि वो first जो है वो ith particle है ना. So we can say now the total internal force, acting on ith particle due to the presence of remaining n minus 1 particle can be given as, I can write this as in the summation over fji. We can say it is fji internal, j running for 1 to n minus 1. By n minus 1 you can write up to n also, because fii will be 0 ना, force acting on itself 0 ही होगा ना. समजते मी काय सांगतेय?
Yes, ma'am.
Just try to understand. If you're having any doubt, you can ask me at any point, right? So we can say the total force due to all those internal particle fji internal, okay, I can write j running from 1 to n minus 1. Okay, so now I can write the total force acting, let me show you. This is what fi, external force we will denote by the notation fi e. Now I can write the total force acting on ith particle. This is what external force plus internal force, that is summation over j running for 1 to n or n minus 1, whatever you can write, because fii will be 0 na, total force acting on itself. This is what external plus internal. Okay, now this we have found for only one particle, barobar. Now we will find out the total force due to all the n particles. F is equals to summation over I fi. इन सब का summation हमें लेना पड़ेगा. Correct, no? Yes, everyone getting me? If you have a doubt, you can ask me.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so to total force I will write here this summation as it is outside, and this fi I will write here. This is fi external plus j running for 1 to n fji, you can say it is internal. So now we can have the total force acting on n particles, right? यहाँ पे single particle के लिए निकाला था ith particle. Now this summation indicate that we are going to find out this is what the total force acting on the whole system, बराबर? So this is what the total force acting on a whole system, which is divided into external and internal, right? So this is what summation over I fi e, and this summation will be 2 times. We can write this as commonly as ij fji internal. Why I have written ij? Because I and j both are running for 1, 2, 3 up to n. Okay. Now let me evaluate this equation. Let us consider, say, equation 1. This is what the total force acting on the system. Okay. So this is what your total force acting on the system. Now we have to evaluate what is fji internal, right? So we will evaluate this term. Now suppose we have these particles, right? Let us consider only 2 particles, right? So total force acting on this one due to this, as well as this particle impose a force here, as well as this particle impose a force here, correct? So we can say fji internal is equals to minus of fij internal, क्योंकि दोनों पार्टिकल एक दूसरे पे फोर्स एग्जिस्ट करेंगे ना, right? Suppose you have a friendship, you are suppose a is a one student, b is another student, both are friends, means what? Both are having their own bounds, no? A is having some bound with b is also friend of a. So here also the amount of force we are calculating, right? The total internal force acting on ith particle due to jth particle is exactly equal and opposite for both one. Yes, everyone understood this part? Hello? समजते सगळ्यांना? टोटल फोर्स ऍक्टिंग ऑन ith particle due to the presence of jth. So here in the very reverse way, the force acting on jth particle due to presence of I, because हर एक जो पार्टिकल है उसका टोटल इंटरनल फोर्स जो होगा वो एवरी पार्टिकल पे होगा, राइट. सो फोर्स ड्यू टू ith पार्टिकल विल बी ऑन रिमेनिंग ऑल द n-1 पार्टिकल, राइट. और जो jth पार्टिकल है उसका भी फोर्स बाकी के n-1 पार्टिकल्स पे होगा, करेक्ट. So we can write this as Fji internal is equal to minus of Fij internal. Yes, any doubt up to this one? If not, let me end the lecture so that we can continue in the next lecture. We will prove the linear momentum. Okay? If you have a doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we can end the lecture.
No, ma'am.
Okay. The next lecture will be at 1:30 because actually differential equation sir is not available. So we will have the next lecture at 1:30. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. You can leave the meeting.